My wife confessed to cheating when I brought up having kids. I don't know if I can forgive this. My wife and I have been married for 3 years. We met through mutual friends, dated for 2 years before getting engaged, and the wedding was everything we'd hoped for. For the most part, our marriage has been good. We both have demanding careers. I'm an operations manager at a manufacturing company. She works in healthcare administration, and we've been building our life together. We bought our first house about 6 months ago. Our finances are finally stable, and work has settled into a comfortable rhythm. Last month, I brought up the conversation we'd been dancing around for a while, having kids. We'd always said we wanted children eventually, but we wanted to be financially secure first. Now that we've checked all those boxes, I figured it was time to have a serious discussion about starting a family. That's when everything fell apart. The moment I mentioned wanting to talk about having a baby, her whole face changed. She got this look I'd never seen before, and then she just started crying. Not the kind of crying you do when you're moved or happy, the kind where you can barely breathe. I immediately asked what was wrong, if she didn't want kids after all. She shook her head and said, "No, I do. I really do, but I need to tell you something first." The way she said it made my stomach drop. I asked, What is it?" She couldn't look at me. Just stared at her hands and said, "About a year ago, when we were going through that rough patch, I had an affair." I just sat there. I don't think I fully processed what she'd said at first. "What?" "I cheated on you," she said, finally looking up at me with tears streaming down her face. It was during that time when we were both working those insane hours and barely seeing each other. I felt so alone, and there was this guy from work, and it happened. "It just happened," I repeated. My voice sounded weird, like it was coming from somewhere else. "For how long? A couple of months, maybe." It didn't mean anything. I swear it didn't mean anything. 2 months isn't nothing," I said. I could feel this cold rage building up inside me. 2 months is a choice you made every single day. She was sobbing now. I know, I'm so sorry, but I ended it. As soon as I realized what I was doing, what I was throwing away, I cut it off completely. There's been no contact since. None. Who was it? Someone from a work conference, not anyone local. I stood up. I needed to move, needed to do something. "So why tell me now? Why not just keep it hidden forever? You said there's been no contact for a year." "Because," she said, her voice breaking, "I can't start a family with this secret between us. I can't bring a baby into our marriage while I'm hiding this from you. You deserve to know the truth before we take that step. I need us to be completely honest with each other." "Honest," I said. The word tasted bitter. "You've been lying to me for over a year, coming home to me every night, sleeping in our bed, making plans for our future. And the whole time you were sleeping someone else." "Please," she begged, "please don't say it like that." "How should I say it then? What's a nicer way to describe my wife cheating on me?" She flinched like I'd hit her. "I know I broke your trust, but I'm telling you now because I love you, because I want us to move forward together the right way. I want to have a family with you without anything hanging over us." I just stared at her. She was talking about love, about moving forward, about starting a family, like we could just sweep this under the rug because she'd confessed. "I need you to leave me alone right now," I said. "Can we at least know? I need you to leave me alone. I need to think." She nodded, wiping her face. Okay, take all the time you need. I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere." After she left the room, I just sat there in the silence. My mind was racing, but also completely blank at the same time. I don't even know how to describe how I felt in that moment. Like someone had just punched me in the chest and I couldn't catch my breath. We were talking about starting our family, about creating a life together, and she drops this on me. The worst part, I had no idea. I wasn't suspicious. I wasn't checking up on her. I trusted her completely. And apparently I was a freaking idiot for doing that. I keep replaying the last year in my head. All those times we laughed together, made love, talked about our dreams. Was any of it real? Or was she just playing house while thinking about him? She says the affair ended almost a year ago, that she hasn't had any contact with him since. She says things between us got better after she ended it, that she realized what she had with me. But she only realized what she had after the affair ended. Not before. Not when she was making the decision to cheat in the first place. Right now I'm sleeping in the guest room because I can't stand to be in the same bed with her. Every time I look at her, I see someone I don't recognize. Someone who could betray me like this and then come home and act like everything was normal. I keep thinking about all the times over the past year when she seemed distant or preoccupied. Times when she said she was working late or going out with colleagues. Was she with him? How many times did I ask, "How was your day?" And she lied straight to my face. The thing that kills me is that I was ready to start a family with her. I was ready to bring a child into this world with a woman who apparently has no problem lying to me for months on end. What if she hadn't told me? What if we'd had a baby and then I found out years later? I would have been trapped. Maybe that's why she told me now. Not because she wanted to be honest, but because she couldn't risk me finding out later when we had kids and it would be harder for me to leave. I don't know what to do. Everyone says people make mistakes, that marriage is about forgiveness, that I should appreciate that she came clean on her own while she could just keep it hidden. But this doesn't feel like a mistake. This feels like a betrayal. How do you forgive someone for that? How do you ever trust them again? Edit. Thanks for all the responses. A lot of you are saying I should investigate more, that her story doesn't add up. I've been trying not to think like that because it feels paranoid, but you're right. Why should I just accept her version of events when she's already proven she'll lie to my face? Update 1, posted 3 weeks later. I didn't expect to be back here so soon, but some things have happened that I need to talk through. For the past 3 weeks, I've been living in this weird limbo. My wife and I are still in the same house but sleeping in different rooms. We go through the motions of daily life, but there's this massive elephant in the room that neither of us can ignore. She's been giving me space like I asked, not pressuring me, being extra attentive. On the surface, you'd think she was being the perfect remorseful spouse, but something's been bothering me. Little things that don't quite add up. She told me the affair was brief, a couple of months, tops. Said it ended almost a year ago and there's been zero contact since. But as I've been replaying the past year in my head, I keep hitting these weird gaps. There were weekends where she said she had to go to conferences or training sessions. At the time, I didn't think anything of it, but now I'm wondering about the timing. I haven't been snooping or interrogating her. I told her I needed time to process, and I meant it. But when I've casually asked questions about that period, she gets defensive. Why are you digging into this? I told you everything. Last week, she brought up having kids again. We were watching TV and she just said, "I know you're still processing everything, but I really think we should move forward. Having a baby would give us something positive to focus on." I just stared at her. We're in the middle of the biggest crisis of our marriage, and she's talking about bringing a child into this mess. When I pointed that out, she got upset and said I was being unfair. The next day, she brought it up again, and then again a few days after that. It started feeling less like she wanted a baby because we were ready, and more like she was using it as some kind of relationship band-aid. That's when my gut really started screaming at me that something was wrong. Then on Friday, something happened that made all my alarm bells go off. We were at a dinner party at her colleague's house. I was introduced to everyone, made small talk, the usual. But there was this one guy who seemed to know an awful lot about me, about us. He mentioned our kitchen renovation, made a joke about our dog stealing socks, even referenced our anniversary trip to Colorado with details that seemed too accurate for casual office gossip. And the way they interacted was careful, too careful. Like they were consciously trying not to stand too close, not to make eye contact too much. You know when you can just feel something in a room. When we got home, I asked her about him. Just casual, "So how do you know Mike?" She got this look on her face just for a second before she said, "Oh, he's just someone from the department. We work on some of the same projects." I didn't push it, but the guy she supposedly had the affair with, she said he was from out of town, someone at a conference. So why do I have this sinking feeling that I was just introduced to him? I've been going over that night in my head for days now. The way he looked at her, the way she carefully avoided him most of the evening, the way he seemed to know things about our marriage. I could be reading into things. Maybe I'm just paranoid because of everything that's happened, but my gut is telling me that her confession wasn't the whole story, that there's something she's still not telling me. So now I'm stuck. Do I confront her with nothing but a feeling? Do I do some actual digging which feels gross and violates the trust I'm supposedly trying to rebuild? Or do I just keep watching and waiting to see what else doesn't add up? The worst part is that she keeps pushing for us to move forward. Every day it's something. We should go to counseling. We should start trying for a baby. We need to focus on our future, not the past. It's starting to feel less like remorse and more like, I don't know, urgency. Like she's in a hurry to lock me in before I have time to figure something out. I honestly don't know what to do. Part of me feels like I'm losing my mind, seeing conspiracy theories where there might not be any. But another part of me is screaming that something is very, very wrong here. Edit. Someone asked if I noticed anything else strange about her behavior. Now that you mention it, she's been really protective of her phone lately. Not in an obvious way, but it's always face down now, and she takes it with her even when she goes to the bathroom. Before all this, she used to leave it lying around without a second thought. Update 2, posted 2 weeks later. I need to get this out because I feel like I'm going insane. This is so much worse than I thought. After my last post, I decided to do some digging. I felt horrible about it, but everyone was right. The trust was already broken. I started with old credit card statements, looked at the timeline of when she said the affair happened versus when she went on various work trips. There were inconsistencies. Trips she'd claimed were for conferences that either didn't exist or happened on different dates, but that's not even the worst part. Last Tuesday, while she was at work, I was organizing old files in our home office. That's when I found it. An old insurance form buried in a stack of papers from about a year ago. The date was from when she said the affair was happening. The service was for an OB-GYN visit and a procedure at a women's health clinic. I Googled the procedure codes. She'd been pregnant, and she'd had an abortion. I sat there staring at this paper for what felt like hours. She'd been pregnant during the affair and terminated it without telling me. When she got home that evening, I was still holding the paper. She saw my face, saw what I was holding, and went white. I didn't yell. I just asked her, "When were you going to tell me about this?" She started crying immediately. But this time I felt nothing. Just this cold, hollow feeling. She tried to explain, said she didn't know whose it was, mine or his, said she couldn't risk having a baby when there was a chance it wasn't mine, said she made the decision alone because she was terrified, said she'd been living with this guilt ever since, and that's why she'd finally confessed to the affair. So she didn't confess because she wanted to come clean. The confession wasn't about honesty. It was about controlling the narrative. I asked her about the guy from the dinner party, the one I'd had the weird feeling about. She tried to deny it at first, but I just kept staring at her, and eventually she crumbled. It was him, Mike, the guy she introduced me to like he was just some random colleague. The affair was with him, and it wasn't some out-of-town conference fling like she'd claimed. He works in her department. They see each other constantly. They've been seeing each other constantly this entire time. But it's over, she kept insisting. I swear it's over. We don't sleep together anymore. It's been months since anything physical happened. Anymore, I repeated. Months, so it didn't end a year ago like you said. She couldn't even look at me. I asked her point blank, "Are you still in contact with him?" She hesitated. That hesitation told me everything I needed to know. Eventually, she admitted it. They still text sometimes. They still see each other at work, obviously. They've had lunch together a few times, coffee, drinks after work with the department. She claimed it's all innocent now, that they're just colleagues trying to maintain a professional relationship. But then she said something that made me want to scream. She said, "I couldn't just completely cut him out of my life. We worked together." It would have been too obvious, too dramatic. I thought I was doing the right thing by keeping it civil and professional. She chose to protect his comfort and her professional reputation over our marriage. She's been managing her relationship with her affair partner for the past year while coming home and sleeping in my bed every night. I asked her why she finally told me about the affair at all. She broke down and said it was because she couldn't handle the guilt anymore. The guilt about the pregnancy, about the abortion, about the lying. She thought if she confessed to the affair and we moved forward with having a baby, she could somehow make up for what she'd done. She could replace the baby she'd lost and finally stop feeling like such a terrible person. "I didn't tell you everything at first because I knew if I did, you'd leave me immediately," she sobbed. "I thought if I told you part of it, if I showed you how sorry I was, maybe we could work through it. And then once we were solid again, maybe someday I could tell you the rest." I just looked at her and said, "So your plan was to lie strategically, to give me just enough truth to seem honest but hold back the parts that would make me leave. And then lock me in with a baby before I could figure it out." She started saying no, that's not what she meant, but we both knew that's exactly what it was. I slept in the guest room that night, and the night after. I've been sleeping there ever since. I feel like I'm mourning two different betrayals, the affair itself, which is devastating enough, but also this calculated, strategic lying. She didn't tell me about the pregnancy. She didn't tell me the affair was with someone local, someone she still sees every day. She didn't tell me it continued for months longer than she initially claimed. She fed me just enough truth to seem remorseful while carefully hiding everything that would make me walk away. People have asked me if I'm going to try to work things out. I don't know how to work things out with someone who's only ever been honest when they had no other choice. The worst part, she's still trying, still saying we can get through this, still suggesting counseling, still talking about our future. Like if she just keeps saying the words, I'll eventually believe them. I don't think I will. I don't think I can. Final update posted 6 weeks later. I wasn't sure if I'd come back to post again, but a lot of you reached out asking for closure, and honestly, writing this out has helped me process everything. So here we are. The week after my last post, I moved out, went to stay with my brother while I figured out my next steps. My wife begged me not to go, said we needed to face this together, not running away from the problem. But I wasn't running away. I was finally thinking clearly for the first time in months. The first thing I did was contact a lawyer. The lawyer was straightforward. We'd been married less than 5 years, no kids, both had our own careers. It would be relatively simple. My wife found out I'd talked to a lawyer and completely fell apart. She called crying, sent long texts about how we'd made vows to each other. She said she'd do anything to fix this. Quit her job, cut off all contact with Mike, moved to a different city. Her mom called me too. Said everyone makes mistakes, that I was throwing away 3 years over something in the past. I told her as gently as I could that it wasn't in the past, that her daughter had been lying to me for over a year until recently. My wife's dad took a different approach. He called and apologized, said he'd raised her better than this, that he understood if I needed to walk away. That conversation actually meant something to me. Through all of this, I kept coming back to one realization. I couldn't have children with someone who was only honest when she was backed into a corner. She wasn't confessing to be honest with me. She was confessing to make herself feel better. Everything she'd done was about what she needed. I was just someone to be managed and controlled. And having kid with me is her solution. We can't bring a child into the world with a mindset like that. So I filed for divorce. We're about 2 months into the process now. It's been surprisingly straightforward so far. We're splitting everything 50-50, no real fights about assets or money, just ending it. From what I heard, things got rough for her at work too. Once people found out about the affair, these things always get out, and now the entire department became uncomfortable. She ended up transferring to a different location. New office, new people who don't know the story. I guess that's one way to start over. She moved back in with her parents temporarily. I'm staying with my brother for now, but I'm looking at apartments. It's weird starting over at 35, but also kind of liberating in a way I didn't expect. Here's the thing that's been on my mind lately. I found out through a mutual friend that Mike is actually married. He and his wife are apparently working on their marriage now. His wife found out about everything, I'm not sure how, but word got around their workplace pretty quickly. She gave him an ultimatum, cut off all contact with my wife or she's done. He chose his wife. So my wife lost both of us in the end. The husband who was ready to build a life with her, and the affair partner she'd sacrificed that life for. I should probably feel some satisfaction about that, but mostly I just feel sad. Sad for the time wasted. Sad for what could have been if she'd just been honest from the start. Sad for the version of her I thought I married, who apparently never existed. Right now I'm just focused on getting through each day. I've started seeing a therapist, which helps. I've been working out more, spending time with friends I'd neglected during the chaos of the past few months, taking it one step at a time. My ex-wife now, sent me a letter last week. A real, handwritten letter. In it, she said she finally understood what she'd thrown away, that she'd been selfish and destructive, and that I deserved so much better than what she'd given me. She said she hoped someday I could forgive her, not for her sake but for mine, so I could move on without carrying anger. I appreciated the letter, actually. It felt like the first time she'd really looked at what she'd done without making excuses or trying to manage my reaction. But it doesn't change anything. I'm still getting divorced. I'm still moving forward without her. Someone in my last post commented that some confessions aren't about honesty. They're about the confessor wanting to feel less guilty while keeping their options open. That really stuck with me because it's exactly what happened here. She didn't confess to come clean. She confessed to feel better about herself while carefully controlling what I knew. If she'd told me everything from the start, the affair, the pregnancy, the abortion, the ongoing contact, I would have been devastated. But at least I would have had all the information to make an informed choice about our marriage. Instead, she tried to spoon-feed me truth in carefully measured doses, always making sure I never knew enough to walk away. That's not honesty. That's manipulation. I'm okay now. Not great, but okay. Some days are harder than others, but I'm grateful this all came out before we had kids. I'm grateful I trusted my gut when something felt off. And I'm grateful for everyone here who helped me see that I wasn't crazy for questioning her story. The practical stuff has been surprisingly manageable. Splitting up a 3-year marriage is apparently much simpler than I feared. We each kept our own cars, split the savings, and put the house on the market. It's weird how something that felt so permanent can be dismantled so efficiently. My brother has been incredible through all this. He never once said, "I told you so," even though he'd had reservations about how fast we'd moved. He's just been there, letting me crash in his guest room, listening when I need to talk, giving me space when I need silence. And also thanks to you guys for listening. I'm going to be okay, it's just going to take some time. Edit. Someone asked if I think she ever really loved me. Honestly, I think she loved the life we were building together. The house, the stability, the idea of a family, but I don't think she loved me enough to tell me the truth when it mattered. And that's answer enough.